Hello, this is my Raspberry Pi as a media center. This is my project for class CPMT-2433-TY1, and my name is Joshua Leos, and the date is December 2nd, 2021. Um, for our first slide, we're going to be talking about how to download the software and how to download the Raspberry Pi imager for your Raspberry Pi to be started up with the OS. So we're going to be talking about how to get the Raspberry Pi imager. So you're going to go onto your Google Chrome and just go into your search bar, and we're going to be typing in Raspberry Pi imager, and you're going to be clicking the first link that pops up on Google, and you're going to download that software. So that software, you open it up. Once you open it up, you'll get this window right here on your left side, and it'll be telling you or giving you instructions on what operating system you want to choose and what storage you want to choose. So for your Raspberry Pi, on my for example, my Raspberry Pi starter kit came with an SD card and a USB. So that SD card is put into USB, and then your USB SD together are going to be connected to your desktop. So you're gonna insert that into your desktop, and then we're gonna be choosing the operating system Raspberry Lite OS, and then the storage will be the SD card USB, and this will allow us to then start up our Raspberry Pi, and is what it's going to look like. So your startup screen will basically be first a black screen with a bunch of scripts just or commands just going up really quickly. It's starting up, and then it'll ask you for the username and password. You're going to log in with the password and login is very easy. It's Pi, and then Raspberry is the password by default. So what we're going to do is going into the configuration window. For that, you're going to do sudo config, I believe it is, and we're going to then go onto the configuration windows, and we're going to change the host name. So for the host name for mine, I changed it whatever it was by default to my name and my last name, but I did it J.Leos, so it's Joshua Leos. I did J.Leos. And then from there, we're also going to be going into the internet and making sure the Raspberry Pi is connected to your Wi-Fi. With that one, we're going to then type the name of the Wi-Fi and then the password right after. So we're gonna be talking about SSH. This is where it's gonna. This is a next big step that's gonna help you create what I said before is a media center for your Raspberry Pi. So a SSH is a secure shell and is a secure shell in a cryptographic community protocol, which is a network protocol for working network offerings securely over an unsecured network. Typical packages consist of faraway command line login and faraway command execution, but any type of network carrier may be secured with SSH. So, in other words, what I'm going to be doing is enabling SSH and then using the Raspberry Pi IP and going onto my command line for the Windows, and then connecting my desktop to control the Raspberry Pi without me actually going onto the Raspberry Pi and connecting a keyboard and mouse and then typing whatever I need to do, right? But this one, we're just going to be using our desktop to control it. So, um, first off, to enable an SSH, you're going to go back to the configuration blue background window, and you're going to see it's going to be on interface settings, and you're going to, or in interface options, and you're going to enable it. Once you enable it, make sure you know your IP for your Raspberry Pi. After that, you're going to then put in this command on your desktop. So for this one, you're going to put SSH. It can be, it's all lowercase, and then space, PI for pi, at, and then your IP. For mine, it was 192.168.1.161. But for example, I did 0.0.0.0. And from there, you're able to control your Raspberry Pi with your desktop. And that should be the final step for this one. So we're going to go on the next slide, and we're going to be talking about BusyBox. So BusyBox is going to be the software suite that provides several Unix utilities in a single executable file. It runs in a variety of POSIX environments such as Linux, Android, and FreeBSD, although many of the tools it provides are designed to work with interface provided by Linux kernel. So the BusyBox is going to allow us to use many executables, many commands. For instance, this project is going to require us to use the HTTPD executable for allowing us to create the web server. So in this one, make sure BusyBox is installed in your Raspberry Pi. And after you check that, you're going to then create a directory and check again that BusyBox is still there. So on this one, I'm going to be showing you the command line. First, let me get out of here. I'm going to then show you BusyBox again. And this one's in my directory. So I've created a directory, var www, and then HTML. So, and then I put BusyBox, and it gives me all the commands, all the executables, and you can see HTTP right here. So, with that said, you're ready to go. After that, you're going to give yourself permissions and write the script to give out a test page onto your web. So the script, or the permissions, sorry, we're going to give ourselves permissions before we write out the script. So with that, you're going to use the command first to see the files that you don't have permissions on. So for this one, I'm going to show. Let me get to that window real quick. I'm going to show right here, right? I'm going to do ls-la. And then we're going to see that all the files that I've created, or the pictures, the PNG files, and the gallery one, which is we're going to get to in a little bit, are given to me by permission. So all these are permissions given to me. The root ones are not, obviously, but the rest are. So that we're going to be using the command to give us the permissions. We're going to be using sudo chown pi. And then that's going to allow us to have permissions on whatever files we're going to be creating. Make sure that PHP is allowing you to write as well. So you're going to be checking if PHP is enabled or not enabled, but is securely on your Raspberry Pi. Then after that, you're going to write the script to see if a test page is allowing you to see with your IP to the web address on your Chrome browser. So for this one, on the bottom picture, you're going to see the basic script that I wrote. It is showing basically a title called My Raspberry Pi Project by, and then my name, and then I put different commands or executable, and then after that I then write how long or how wide I want it, the width, the margins, the fonts, and then everything else. So that script you can find online. You can create it yourself if you know how to. And then you should get a test page like this. So the picture is cut off a little bit, but you can see the IP right there that I used. So all you need to do is after you create the script, you type your IP, enter, and then you'll see the example IP on your web address, and then you'll see the test page. So as I said before, this is my Raspberry Pi test page, and then my Raspberry Pi test page, my name, and then the course name or number. Next, we're going to be installing and downloading single file PHP gallery and also implementing 5 photos of the lab. So the 5 photos of the lab is going to show you proof that the photos are then receiving into the web server that you created, and also the single file PHP gallery script is working. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make sure that you're on the directory that you made, and we're going to be creating the file gallery.html. After that, you're going to be researching how to get the script for the PHP single file gallery, and you're going to implement that script into a file that you created, which is gallery.html. Shortly after that, you're going to implement the photos onto Raspberry Pi. So on this photo, it's basically showing you all the photos or the PNG files that I've implemented onto my file that I created, which is gallery.html. So you can see here, I am downloading some of the photos, and then they're coming out right here. So, and when I go back to the command line, it is showing all these pink files here. These are the ones that I had to manually download onto the Raspberry Pi. So what you're going to do is you're going to, in order to do that, you need to get wget and then httpd whatever, then the link to whatever the photo is. But make sure you have the photo um, link, and it'll basically download the photo file onto your Raspberry Pi. Um, After that, you're going to after that, let's see here. We're going to the next slide. Okay, so um, after you implement those first five photos, make sure it is receiving onto the website or the web server. And once it is, you're going to then um, go a little bit off the what you're used to and how to download the photos. So what we're going to do is we're going to download the program WIN SCP, so WinCP. This WinCP is going to allow you to transfer your files from your desktop to the files onto the Raspberry Pi and whatever directory you're in. So for this one, you're going to first go onto Google on your desktop and then download or search WIN SCP download. It should be the first software link you see on the Google search. And then right after that, you click on it, download it, make sure it's running and opening. Once it's open, you then go to it's going to prompt you to put in an IP address. So the IP address, remember, in the beginning, you need to remember the IP from the Raspberry Pi. So mine was 192.168.1.161. So when I put that IP on there and I press connect or next, it's going to give me this window right here. So this window is going to have two panes, one on the left, one on the right, and then other options on the top that you want to do. But for this project, we're going to be focusing on the two panes. Um, you're going to navigate on the right pane. You're going to navigate to your directory that you made and make sure it's stayed on there. Then on the left side, you make sure you're going to where your photos are at, and then you're going to get the photo that you want to transfer onto the Raspberry Pi directory. So then I put an arrow right here saying that I'm highlighting the JPEG file, and then I will be shortly after converting it into a PNG. That way it can be better for the Raspberry Pi to show that it's a photo onto the photo gallery or the PHP gallery. So right here I'm showing that I'm highlighting the picture, and then I'm going to then drag it, and then put it onto the directory for the Raspberry Pi, and it should automatically transfer over. Then after that, you should see all 10 photos. So the first five photos were from the lab, and then the other five were from different, any of your choice photos, any different photos that you transferred with this application. And it'll be showing this web browser or web server. And then I have it actually right here to present that it is working. As you can see, we have it on the web address, the IP, and then slash gallery.html, which is the file that I created, and the script is allowing the photos to be presented as the actual photo gallery. So we can then just go to all the photos shown. This is a random car that I put. All these photos, desktop. There's some lab photos that came out a little bit bad. Like this one's okay, showing the me updating the make sure it's good for updates and stuff like that. These other ones were supposed to show the scripts, and you could see the pink files that I was showing of how I was getting the photos onto the script of the photo of the PHP gallery, and then random photos here. So this is basically what I was instructed to do is for a project for the Raspberry Pi. And then we're going to go back to the presentation and it's complete. So the Raspberry Pi is now a photo gallery for whatever photos you want to implement into it. And that is it for my project. It was very easy, or not easy, but it was easy and difficult. I had some roadblocks to go through, but it was also interesting a lot because I've never done this before. But I am very interested in it now. So these are my references of where I got all my information on, and then that is it. Thank you so very much. This is my Raspberry Pi project as a media center. Thank you.